What's the best way to sew a dart? Today we're having another sewing showdown.
We've split this sew down into 3 parts: marking, pinning, and finishing.
Who do you think sews darts the best? Let us know in the comments.
Sarai, I hereby challenge you to a sew down.
I accept your challenge, Haley. All right, for round 1, I'm gonna be marking my dart using a screw punch and a clover pencil. So what I do is I take my fabric here, take my pattern piece, and then I'm going to punch a hole right in the tip of the dart using this tool called a screw punch. And a screw punch is basically a hole punch that you can use anywhere. You don't have to use it just on the edge of a piece of paper, but you can use it right in the middle. So it's great for marking things like buttonholes, buttons, any kind of circular marking on your pattern, but also the tips of darts. So you just place it at the tip of your dart over a cutting mat, press down like so, and you get a nice little hole right in the tip of your dart. So then I take my fabric here, I take my paper pattern piece, lay it back over the top, and then take a marking tool. I'm going to use a clover pencil, which is my favorite marking tool, and just pencil in the tip of the dart. Make sure to go over it a few times so that you get a nice dark marking there. And then to mark the dart legs, my favorite way to do that is just to clip them. It's just very fast and easy. So you take this, just clip right at the dart legs on the edge. Make sure not to clip past the seam allowance, of course. And then remove your paper pattern piece, and you'll have the legs here and the tip here. And then just to make things more precise, you can take a ruler and draw in the finished dart all the way from that clip at the leg to the tip. And there's your dart.
All right, now I'm going to show you my way of marking a dart. I like to use a pin and a marking tool to mark the end of my dart. So I just take my pin and I stick it right through the very end of the dart and poke it all the way through. And then I can take my marking tool, lift up the pattern paper, and mark. I like this method because when you're cutting through 2 layers, you're able to access both layers easily because the pin is piercing through all of them. And then I use some snips and I snip the ends of the darts. I guess Sarai and I can agree on that part. Then this is my finished product. I have the notches at the raw edge of the fabric and then the mark here. I am not going to connect the notches to the point because I have a really fancy trick that I'm going to show you.
The pros of using a screw punch are that it's very precise and it's really fun and easy.
The pros of using a pin to mark your dart tip is that you do not need a special tool, just pins, which you already have on hand. And you can also mark both layers of your fabric simultaneously if you are cutting on the fold.
All right, for round 2, we're going to be pinning our darts. So to pin my dart, the way I like to do it, so we have our dart drawn in, fold the dart in half, and you want to line up those dart legs at the edge. So this is where clipping comes in handy when you've clipped the legs of the dart right on the edge because it's very, very easy to line up. So you make sure those are lined up and then you fold it all the way to that dart tip that you drew in. And just kind of finger press it in place to start. And that's easier to do on some fabrics than others. You can finger press it in place, and then next, take a pin, and I like to pin baste along those dart legs that I drew in. So I place the pin through one of the dart legs, I turn it over and make sure that it lined up with the other dart leg and the pin is coming out on the other side, right on the dart leg, and it is. And then back in through the dart leg and out the other side. So pin basting holds it in place right along those dart legs. And for a dart this size, I might use 2 pins. So again, in, make sure that it's lined up on the other side, and back through the dart leg. And now my dart is pin basted in place. By the way, this linen is from Blackbird and we've used it for a lot of our video samples. One of the best perks of a Seamwork membership is that you get discounts at fabric stores all over the world, including Blackbird, up to 20% off your purchase. I'll link to all the fabric stores below, and remember to go to seamwork.com/go/YouTube50 to save 50% on a membership.
Now I'm going to show you how I like to pin my darts. I am going to start pretty similarly to Sarai. I'm going to align my 2 notches that I cut at the cut edge of the fabric. And I'm kind of holding those together with my fingertips, and then I'm going to pinch where my marking is. And then I kind of pin it down with my fingers on my work surface and give it a little finger press. And that just helps to reinforce that edge. And then I like to pin perpendicular to my folded edge. And this is for a couple reasons. I find that it gives me the easiest access to my pins so I can remove them really easily. The other reason that I like to do this is because I feel like pinning parallel can make depending on your machine, can make your machine jump around a little bit because the feed dogs don't always like it. And this is how I pin, always making sure that my final pin ends exactly on that dart point. That is my do not sew beyond pin.
The pros of pin basting are that it gives you a lot of control, things stay really lined up, and it works really well on slippery fabric.
The pros of pinning perpendicularly are that your pins are really easy to remove as you're sewing. You could also see them from both sides of your project, so no matter how you end up sewing, you're gonna have easy access to them. This technique also doesn't make your feed dogs really mad and cause any kind of chaos there. And finally, that final pin can be your stop sign. Do not sew beyond.
All right, for round 3, we're going to be finishing our darts. All right, so I've sewn my dart, and now when I get to the tip, I'm going to lift up the presser foot, and I'm just going to release some thread so we have a nice long thread tail. And I'll cut that. And then I'm going to tie off my dart. So what that means is I'm just going to take those long thread tails at the tip, and I'm going to tie them in a knot. So I'll tie it once and then tie it twice. So I'm doing a double knot here. Nice and tight, and then trim off those long thread tails. And that creates a knot right at the tip to hold it securely in place. Not to brag, but this is pretty secure.
Now I'm going to show you how I sew my darts. So I promised a special trick, and I will deliver a special trick. So I am going to use my thread tails to help me as a guide when I'm sewing this dart. Okay, so we are going to start with a back stitch just to secure that end, and then I'm going to take that long tail that I left and I'm going to swing it around kind of in front of my needle, and I'm going to align it with my dart tip. And that's kind of acting as my line and my guide for sewing. So now I can just proceed, and I'm easily able to remove my pins. And then as I approach that final 1/2 inch to 3/8 of an inch, I'm going to take my stitch length and I'm going to dial it down. This will vary depending on your fabric weight. If you're using a really lightweight fabric, you could go even down to a 1. And then we can sew right off the edge of our fabric. And those really tight stitches are acting kind of as a back stitch. And there you have it. You have a really easy to sew but accurate dart, and that is always what I'm looking for in a good sewing technique.
The pros of tying off your dart end is that it's quick and easy, it's easy to remember, and it's also easy to unpick if you make a mistake.
And lastly, the pro for using a smaller stitch length to secure the end of your dart is that it is just a little bit more secure.
All right, whose dart techniques do you like the best? Let us know in the comments.
And let us know what other techniques you want to see for future SEWdowns. Oh yeah, it's my turn now.
Tell us in the comments.
Wait, I touched my mic.
Let's try it again.
Sorry, guys. I feel so like not dumb, but like so silly.
I wonder why.
I wonder why. I showed Eric these videos because I was like, these are our masterpiece. I was like, this is so dumb, Haley.
The pros of using a screw punch is that it ensures the pros of using a screw punch. It is hard to say, screw punch. It's a lot of purr sounds.
The pros of using a pin to mark, you can also, no. Yes. And you can use your final pin as a stop sign to do not sew beyond. Blah. Little jumbled.
You were a little unsure of what you were saying.
And also let us know what other techniques do you want to see in SEWdown. Blah. Okay, now I'm going to show you camera. Yes. Now I will show you how I like to pin. No, you. You.
Round theme. Ooh, the stool is low.